Representatives of the water element, born under the sign of Pisces, have a unique connection with the world, feeling themselves an integral part of the universe. Their nature is like the ocean, deep, sensitive, capable of being both peaceful and turbulent. Now, more than ever, it is important to listen to the call of your heart and realize the value of your own energy. Stop letting others unceremoniously invade your personal space. Pisces energy should not be publicly available, and the inner world, the subject of discussion. Emotions, this is not a passing yard, where everyone can enter and leave at will. Pisces, with their generous and empathic soul, should stop wasting themselves. When someone needs help, they are always ready to come to the rescue, giving of themselves entirely and forgetting their own needs. As a result, they feel devastated, exhausted and resentful, as if their sacrifices go unnoticed. And while others may recognize their selflessness, some are simply used to taking without knowing how to give in return. This is the time when representatives of the sign of Pisces need to prioritize their own needs. This is not a manifestation of selfishness, but rather a matter of emotional survival, an act of self-love and respect for their unique essence, because the inner strength of Pisces is truly great. They have the gift of foresight, the ability to capture the unspoken and love with such dedication, which causes fear in those who are not ready for such depth of feeling. However, if Pisces neglects self-care and fails to set personal boundaries, their magical power can backfire, creating anxiety, sadness and exhaustion. Representatives of this zodiac sign feel gratuitous fatigue, a desire for solitude and a need for silence. This is not a sign of ill-being, but rather the result of overload caused by absorbing other people's emotions and carrying the burden of other people's stories. Caution should be exercised as unstable energy circulates around Pisces. Inattention can lead to minor incidents involving fire or electricity. This is not a prediction of disaster, but rather a call for vigilance and awareness in the present moment to stay in touch with reality. However, don't take everything as a warning. Something will appear in Pisces' life that can heal their soul, a trip, a change of scenery, or another event that may seem insignificant, but will have a huge impact. Pisces doesn't need grandiose changes, but rather a soulful experience that will bring back their vitality, smile, and ability to breathe fully. At the same time, you should be cautious, as betrayal by a loved one is not excluded, which will leave a bitter residue in the soul of trusting Pisces, accustomed to see the good even in those who do not deserve it. Do not keep your experiences in the depths of the soul, suppress them or try to embellish. It is important to feel them, comprehend and let them go. After all, the purpose of man in this world is not to carry the burden of other people's problems and unresolved conflicts. On the contrary, his mission is to create beauty, give love and touch the hearts of others. Nowadays, many people are beginning to show their true selves, dropping masks and discarding filters. This will help you to see who is really worthy to be around and who it is time to part with. It may not be easy to close doors to others, but sometimes it is necessary to cut ties that do not lead to development and growth. You should give up unstable love, people who appear and disappear at will. Do not waste time on relationships in which you have to constantly prove your value and importance. Each person is already self-sufficient and deserves a love that supports him, sees his true self and is not afraid of his strengths or his tenderness. It may be necessary to stop a persistent man who does not realize that his time has passed. However, through tact, elegance and inner calm, it will be possible to set boundaries that will be understood and accepted. There are changes in the immediate environment, meetings, conversations, family events that can touch on important issues but also bring healing. After all, connections based on truth and sincerity can transform and grow stronger. You have a unique ability to say what is needed, at the right moment. It's important to be mindful of your words. This week, inner energy is so strong that thoughts and desires can materialize faster than expected. Therefore, you should not express negative wishes in a fit of anger, despair, or impulsiveness. You should carefully consider your words and feelings in order to get exactly what you really need. Changes are coming, and these changes are not accidental, they are predetermined by the very essence of Pisces. Becoming something grandiose and created especially for them. Before moving forward, the representatives of this sign of the zodiac should turn to their inner feelings and declare to all, I am free from everything that interferes with my radiance, and demand what belongs to me by right, granted from above. These words must not just be said, but felt and believed. Fish do not beg for alms, they affirm their truth. They stop begging in humiliation, recognizing their inner light, and rush towards a version of themselves that no longer wants to hide in the shadows. Pisces' intuition reaches its peak, and this can be both a blessing and a source of confusion, depending on how they manage this gift. Representatives of this sign of the zodiac catch all the nuances, the views in which lies the unspoken, the silence that exerts pressure, changes in energy that go unnoticed by others. At times this can make Pisces feel out of place, wondering if they are exaggerating. But no, they are not exaggerating. Pisces see what is hidden from others, feel what is not yet realized by those around them. They receive messages from a more subtle, deeper level, which makes them unique, but also vulnerable if they don't know how to set boundaries. The Pisces soul is like an antenna, picking up both positive and debilitating energies. Pisces can no longer afford energies that are not their own. They can't maintain connections that feed off of them without giving anything in return. They can no longer be a container for other people's problems and experiences. It's time to protect themselves, guard their boundaries and listen to their inner voice. And this needs to be said lovingly, but in a non-abusive way. A person can become trapped in outdated connections, memories, or illusions that were once meaningful but are no longer relevant to their current life. Despite the difficulty of parting with the past, the realization of the need to move forward becomes more acute as stagnation stifles one's potential. Like water that rots without finding a way out, one must free oneself from the shackles of the past, even if it causes pain and fear. Once freed from unnecessary burdens, he opens himself to the new possibilities that the universe has to offer. Now these opportunities are hidden behind nostalgia and regrets, but when one turns one's face to the future, they become obvious. A period of emptiness is inevitable, but it should not be seen as a loss, but as a clearing of space for new beginnings. The new is already looking for a meeting, but cannot break through the rubble of the old. In addition, an important conversation with someone important is looming, which a person avoids because of the anticipation of difficulties. However, one can no longer postpone this conversation, as repressed words and hidden emotions poison him from within. One cannot wear the mask of a smile forever, hiding the inner pain. When the representatives of the sign of Pisces finally decide to express their thoughts, they will be struck by the clarity of speech. The release of accumulated internal tension will bring long-awaited relief. Sleep will be deeper, breathing is smoother, and gait is easier. Pisces will begin to attract people into their lives, seeing in them not just a safe harbor for their problems, but equal partners. They will deserve the attention of souls who can understand, appreciate and support, because their purpose is not only to heal others, but also to share love on a mutual basis. It's time to realize long-postponed dreams, to realize projects and ideas that have always excited, but seemed too bold. Do not seek to calculate every step, it is enough to make the first and trust fate. Not just a new stage is coming, but the birth of a new version of yourself, more confident, free, conscious and happy. There is no turning back. The inner changes felt by Pisces are not a fleeting feeling, but a deep, real and powerful transformation. Even if it is not yet clear where it will lead, there is no going back to the previous state. Excuses no longer seem convincing, and what was once tolerated becomes unbearable. What was once dazzling loses its significance. There is a change of skin, a painful process of shedding the layers that have covered for years and severing the ties that no longer contribute. There comes a point when it is necessary to say goodbye to previous versions of oneself, even if at one time they served as a reliable support. This inner discomfort is a sure sign of making room for the coming changes, which promise to be significant. Soon, subtle but powerful transformations will begin to emerge, new ways of responding to situations, the ability to set boundaries without guilt, the ability to live through emotions without fear of their intensity, and an unwavering self-confidence that requires no excuses. Of course, these changes may cause dissatisfaction in those who are used to the former submission, who enjoyed unconditional returns and counted on a constant presence without offering anything in return. However, this time, representatives of the sign of Pisces, they will not betray themselves. They will learn to say no, to stop when more is demanded of them than they can give, and to disappear into silence when necessary. They will make a choice in favor of themselves, even if it remains misunderstood by those around them, because they have finally realized the value of their inner world and understand that their energy is not an inexhaustible resource for everyone's use. In addition, in the creative sphere will awaken a powerful impulse. An idea that has been occupying thoughts for a long time, a project, the desire for self-expression, everything that makes you feel alive, brings back inspiration and connects with the most authentic essence. And this is certainly no accident. It's as if the universe is asking the question, when are you going to start creating your own magic? After all, you've been helping others create their magic for so long. Now it's your turn. It is not necessary to strive for an instant and perfect solution to all problems. It is enough to simply start acting, based on the available resources and the current situation. This start can provoke powerful internal changes, a kind of emotional earthquake that will reveal hidden truths. It may become obvious that someone close to you does not share the desire for development, the relationship has reached a dead end, or love exists only in fantasies. It is important not to avoid these revelations, not to look for excuses and not to embellish reality in order to avoid pain. One must look at the situation as it is, and if it does not meet expectations, let it go. Until one is free of unnecessary baggage, true love cannot enter one's life. Something beautiful lies ahead, a deep, sincere and harmonious connection. It could be a new person or someone already familiar, but with a renewed consciousness. However, this will only happen when there is a willingness to accept love without fear or expectation of rescue from another. It is important to learn how to sustain oneself, and this process is already well underway. The present period of life is not a pause, but an active preparation. It is the time needed to bring order to thoughts and feelings, heal wounds and reconnect with the true self. Once this happens, the world will no longer be the same. All areas of life will begin to improve, align and flow in a harmonious flow. After all, when a person decides not to betray himself anymore, the universe stops testing him and begins to lavish him with gifts. Just at the moment when it seems that all possible losses are over, fate presents a new surprise, revealing one more hidden layer of the soul. This corner of the personality, like a precious stone, waiting for its time to be seen, understood, warmed by the warmth of acceptance and, finally, released into the wild. For representatives of the sign of Pisces comes a period full of challenges, but also discoveries, when the truth of life appears in its unconcealed form. It is now, like a jigsaw puzzle, begins to form a big picture of what is happening, and every detail acquires its own meaning. It becomes clear the reasons for the long silence, lessons learned from each fall, and the inexhaustible power that is born after each painful farewell. After all, it is now that Pisces appears in all its greatness, strong, but at the same time soft, possessing a firmness of spirit, but not resorting to shouting. This strength, born from within, tempered in the raging waves of emotions, allows them to shine with a new, unique light. However, this radiance emanating from Pisces will inevitably cause discomfort to those around them. They no longer succumb to manipulation, their actions become unpredictable, they stop giving themselves away without a trace and accept everything that is offered to them, just to avoid being alone. And not everyone will be able to understand and accept these changes. Some will prefer to leave, while others will show their true colors. And it is for the best, because at a new stage of life Pisces cannot be around random people. They need to take care of their energy, like a sacred temple or garden, which they lovingly restore after the storm. In their life will enter only those who are ready to water and care, who are able to bring harmony and prosperity to it. Fate is preparing a surprise for Pisces, the kind of surprise that can turn everything upside down in the best sense of the word. It could be an unexpected message, a tempting offer or a coincidence that actually turns out to be a pattern. All this will be a confirmation that the inner work on yourself has not been in vain. But in order for this surprise to manifest in all its glory, Pisces needs to perform one last act of self-love, to finally complete the emotional cycle that they continue to keep open. They know exactly what it's all about, that person, that story, that illusion that comes back into their lives from time to sow confusion, upset their equilibrium, and remind them of the part of themselves they are no longer. Part of the soul sometimes longs for the past, warm with hope for a change for the better. However, mature wisdom warns, there are no revelations in the past. And this time it will prevail, because there is no retreat. There is no room for nostalgia anymore, only a look into the future, full of courage, love for today's self, gratitude for the past and confidence in the future. The current period is favorable for the healing of ancestral bonds. Perhaps there is a long-awaited conversation with a loved one, forgiveness that has not come off the lips, the truth buried in silence, or burdensome, but not voiced alienation. The universe gives us a chance to clear this energy, to express our pain not for the sake of proving the rightness, but for the sake of liberation. Sincerity opens oxygen to the soul, and when the soul breathes freely, life changes its course. The present of Pisces is filled with strength, and the future, brilliant prospects. The experiences accompanying this stage are just a transformation, shedding the old skin, dissolving fears and reconnecting with the true self. There is no need to rush things, downplay their significance or distract yourself from them. Pisces is exactly where it needs to be, and this is where their ascent will begin. For a long time, Pisces had to wander, wage an invisible struggle, mourn their troubles in silence, more often than they are willing to admit, and meet storms with a strained smile that hid the pain behind it. That period is now behind them. It doesn't mean that everything has become perfect, that the pain is gone forever, or that all the answers have been found. But now Pisces has something more valuable, the realization of its own essence, which no one can take away. Pisces no longer seeks to conform to other people's expectations, fit in, or convince anyone of their worth. It's enough to simply know who they are. There is no need for universal understanding or recognition. Pisces no longer look for validation of their worth in other people's views because they look at themselves with tenderness, respect and love. Yes, there are still unresolved issues, people who hurt, and difficult decisions, but now Pisces goes through it all from the perspective of someone who doesn't betray themselves, knows how to pause the soul when they feel dissonance, and no longer asks for permission to be happy. A new twist of fate looms on the horizon. And this is not just a pretty phrase, it is a statement of fact based on a deep understanding of the current moment, on the feelings that permeate every line of this message. After all, no one gets here by accident. If the reader is here, it means that something has awakened in his inner world. And this awakening is not like a light breeze. It is a powerful impulse transforming the personality from within, forcing to rethink the established views, to let go of even what was dear to the heart, and to open towards what is deserved. And there is much deserved, not fleeting happiness, not rare glimpses of joy, not love at someone else's discretion. The reader deserves a love that sees the real him and stays close to him. He deserves a life that inspires every day, a routine that doesn't stifle freedom, a sincere, healthy, and open relationship. He deserves to have his sensitivity appreciated, not judged, to be able to express his feelings freely without guilt. And all of this is on its way. Yes, it's just around the corner, it's closer than it seems. But it won't come by itself if you keep looking back to the past, if you think it has to be earned by suffering, if you expect someone to come and save you. After all, salvation is already happening, the reader is his own savior. He is the key to solving all problems, he has the power to open all the doors that were once closed in front of him. It's time to act, to move forward, to make decisions and go for what the reader truly deserves. Let it be scary, let it seem like an impossible task, but if something seems too good to be true, maybe that's exactly what it is. And to finish, a few questions to ponder. What version of himself is the reader willing to let go of forever? What part of his soul longs to speak out but goes unheard? What desire makes his heart flutter and awaits approval? Listen to yourself, trust your feelings. If suddenly these lines have caused you a storm of emotions, made you think about the eternal, touched the deepest corners of the soul, caused an unexpected tear or a warm smile, then do not hurry to leave this space. Become part of the Pisces Verde horoscope community, because your attention to these words is not just a coincidence, but rather a sign of destiny, a reminder of your true nature, your potential and the great achievements that lie ahead of you. See you soon, dear Pisces. And remember, it's time to come back to your true self, in all its beauty and splendor, because the world desperately needs your light, your unique energy. You no longer need to seek approval or permission to shine, to share your wisdom and talents. Just be yourself, and the world will reciprocate.